we recognise that maintaining yield, sustaining production may well involve some input of chemicals.
And particularly at this time with the food pricing going up and the...
Well, we're living in a very interesting time. I mean, everyone's aware that global food security is under question. European food security is under question. We have to probably take fairly radical steps to ensure that we can meet growing demands for food. And in a sense, the last 10 years, when there's been a great deal of complacency that food would always be there, that what we don't grow we can import, we probably now have to take much greater notice of the need to sustain yields, food production, and we have to pay attention to the factors that constrain our ability to do so, which is essentially pesticides. I mean, people notice things when they affect them. Before we see supermarket shelves depleted and so on, we're going to see significant increases in cost. And that certainly in the UK is already being reported and quite widely, that food prices are escalating well ahead of inflation. And I see that really as the forerunner to potential food shortages. Who knows? But at least, I think we've had it good for a number of years, and we have to face reality that there are challenges ahead.
If you can increase the yield in wheat by 1 or 2 tons by using a fungicide, for instance, it will help to improve the efficacy of the soil use. It will minimize the leaching of nitrogen, and it will also help to minimize the greenhouse gases. So, I mean, there's many impacts which you could also have see having an impact from the use of fungicides. If you make these kind of very holistic calculation of how you use your resources, I mean, you would have to take in more land if you should produce the same amount of grain, for instance.
More land when?
I mean, fungicides mean that you increase your yields by 1 or 2 tons, and you want to obtain the same level of grain production as we have today. So if you cut back on the fungicides, for instance, that means that you would have to include more land to actually produce the same amount of grain. And that would have an impact on leisure area, woods,
And nobody wants to see that happening.
Really wants to see that. So you could put things in a more global perspective, and I think there you would see major impact from the use of pesticides.